Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Bizarre and the Unknown. I'm your host, Testerman. I put her backstage for a little bit, let her get finished up. She's been busy. She's working hard today. Thought the intro had audio. It should have, Richard. I know it was working on my end. Did it work on everybody else's too? So today we're going to go over some of the history of go over the history of werewolves. There is actually a lot of history on it, and it goes way far back. Now there's so many countries. We're going to focus mainly today on Rome, India. There's a lot in India. Ethiopia, England, Germany, Scandinavia, and that's kind of the main ones we're going to be focusing on today. I've got quite a bit of notes here, and so we'll be hitting that up. And I do have something. Oh, that's okay, Richard. That's okay. If we're ready here, we'll go ahead and bring Jessica back on. Jessica, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm good. Man, I've been a little busy today. But
yeah, you have.
Yeah. We were out in the woods all day, and I had my son and my dog. We went out to one of my spots where we do some research. And so we were out there doing it was more like a nature hike, I guess. And we went and did that, and then I was just on with Midwest Night Watchers on their show. Just then. And I just got done. So I'm here. So, how have you been?
No worries. Yeah, I'm still trying to recover from last night. That was an interesting night last night. Didn't really get a whole lot of evidence, possible Bigfoot activity in the area. Some real negative energy. A lot of negative energy.
Oh no!
So that was one of my biggest things. I got to the point that I had to hightail it out of there. I felt like something was after me. I was like, it's just, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you made it out of there. I'm glad you made it out.
Yeah, me too. I tried to stick it out for as long as possible, but I was there. Hey, Dead Wolf. I was just when that feeling got as strong as it was, I was like, nah, it's time to go. You know, I heard a weird noise coming from the west there. A lot of bad energy coming from the west. I was like, time. Hey, Kevin. So that's what I did. I've still got like an hour's worth of video to go through, and I still got some audio if it got recorded to go through. I still got some work to go through. But so I got a question for you guys. Before we dive into this, I came up with a theory that I'm finding very, very entertaining. Oh, my daughter's texting me. For a long time, you know, I've always talked about it, hit the Native American lure, along with a lot of other things. You know, dogman is a relatively new term, came out in 1984. Before then, we called all these things werewolves. That's steeped throughout history, no matter where you go. The biggest difference is, you know, in modern terms, dogman's born, werewolf is created. And we'll see that through a lot of this history here that we're getting ready to dive into. And then, so it got me to thinking, what if our ancestors have been correct this whole time? And they're actually both werewolves. One's a natural born, where one is created by magic.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I think, because a lot of people, they get confused a lot on the dogman and werewolf, because a lot of people don't know. Dogman, like I said, new term. That is really, really new term, 20 years old. Extremely new term. So, I mean, like Bigfoot. You know, that's an older term, but it's a new one as well. But so I got to thinking about that, and then the more I look, the more we'll hear about tribes that has been this way, and then we're going to hear about people who were created this way. Some of these tribes give birth. The rest of these people do not. They are created. So that's where my mind has been all week is sitting there and. Man, this kind of, to me, makes sense. So I figure I'd throw that out to you guys, let you think on it today while we go and dive into this. So the first one Bud, if you're going to be like you were this morning, you're going to get down. And I said, still, sorry. Um, so the first one we're going to kind of hit up is Roman. Roman is one of the oldest ones we're going to find in the history of werewolves. I still got the game going below. In ancient Rome, the werewolf myth was deeply ingrained in the culture, with stories of human transformation into wolves often linked to divine punishment, which is what I've talked about a lot of times, how the gods were displeased with somebody, and bam, they cursed him with the gift of the curse of the wolf, where individuals could be turned into wolves through magic or herbs, with the term versipellis, referring to someone who could turn skin and become a wolf. One of the most prominent examples comes from the writings of Virgil and Petronus, where characters are described turning into wolves using potions and spells, further solidifying the idea of werewolves in Roman mythology. And in an American term, you would think more along when it comes to spells or potions as the rougarou. The rougarou be what we here in the United States would think of when it comes to werewolf being changed that way. That's just kind of an example for you. So some of those key points on these werewolves is the original story. This concept of the human, half human, half wolf, comes from Rome. It comes from Rome culture, dealing with Romulus and Remus. They're the ones that suckled upon the she-wolf, created Rome, and all that stuff there. So, Rhonda, hey, how's it going?
Eric, we actually have a Rome, Georgia here. Up in North Georgia, there's a place called Rome, a city called Rome, and on the courthouse steps, we have a statue of Romulus and Remus there. And so when I was a kid, my family lived up in Rome, and when we would go visit up there, we would always pass that statue on the courthouse steps, and my mom would tell us about Romulus and Remus and the story behind them. So I've been seeing that for a long time, and I do believe they were gifted that from Rome, Italy, actually, from what I was told.
Memory serves me correctly, yes. Hello, Cynthia. Hello, Uncut. For me, the very first story I ever heard of werewolves actually was that story there with Romulus and Remus. The founders, the brothers who founded Rome. Richard says, yeah, it was in 79 here in OKC. Was an amazing weekend weather-wise, for sure. Got lots of, sorry, caught in on a conversation here. Firewater says, I turn into half human, half wolf without my coffee in the morning. I agree with you on that one. Gary said, hey, Gary, I have 44 pounds of beagle named Rougarou. Hey, Jeff. So this is the concept where the story with Romulus and Remus is very similar to that one I tell people all the time about the Northwestern Native American tribe, where the two brothers were out hunting, and they were so successful in their hunting, and they came across an elder man in the woods. And the man asked him, you guys seem to be good hunters. Yeah, he's spoiled, Firewater. May I have some of your food? I'm hungry. And they're like, yes, grandfather, here, have some food. And they gave him some of their harvest. He was so pleased with their generosity that he gifted them the ability of the wolf, which made them better hunters. Now, originally, they were able to transform basically, I hate this, but Twilight. The wolves in Twilight is what the transformation was at first. One brother used the gifts for good and kept that transformation style, so he can go to wolf and human. The other brother used it for bad. And forever was cursed to a bipedal wolf. So, I've always tied that more man style because of the tail. But in all actuality, according to that story, it'd be werewolf. I mean, it was magic that created them. Hey Scott. Yeah, Jessica's busy tonight. Yeah, I don't want to put that up there. It might get me in trouble. So we're looking at the similarities here between Romulus and Remus and the two Native American brothers in the Northwestern tribe. So awesome. Yes, they kept it. Some of the key things we need to look into are some of the transformation through magic. Roman werewolf stories often involved using magical herbs or potions to facilitate the transformation. Like I said, that's tied to the Rougarou here in the U.S. Another divine one. We'll get into the divine one here in a minute. Literary references, authors like Virgil in his Eclogues and Petronius in his state. I can't even say these words. Sectarian mentions stories of men turning into wolves, providing detailed accounts of the transformation process. Divine punishment. In Roman mythology, being turned into a wolf was often seen as punishment from the gods for an act of arrogance, pride, or blasphemy. And this is something you'll see quite often. Hey, Dario. You'll see this quite often through a lot of this stuff. And another one, gotta be able to sit still, bud. I can't do stuff if you keep moving around. Sorry, guys. He has been that way today for some reason. I don't know why, but he has been. In the werewolf, Virgil, in his poetic work of his Eclogues, wrote about a man called Morris, who used herbs and poisons picked in his native Pontus. Oops, I hit the deal wrong. And a historical extra here, she-wolf, Roman mythology. The earliest representation is the controversial mirror of Bolsena. Romulus and Remus, an early silver dictorium, which is done. That's what came out in 269 to 266 time frame when it came out. Early in the 1st century AD, the Roman poet Ovid wrote Metamorphosis, in which the king Lycan, which the name lycanthrope comes from, he fed the gods human flesh, and they were so mad at him that they cursed him with the gift of the wolf to continue this eating habit. So this is where you see the divine coming in and creating them in that way. They do. I mean, ever since last night, Firewater, he has been way more needier than usual. Of course, I came home last night in a different kind of mindset after dealing with what I deal with out there. So, but yeah, so when it comes to the Native American side, you can see where the one uses his gifts for bad, and hey, Demeria, and then therefore he's constantly transformed into this way. So I mean, could that be divine? Obviously, it probably could be. That could fall within there. Velcro doggy, yeah, he's at my hip. He's at my hip. So this is throughout. I mean, you're seeing connections between Rome and United States. On just both the gift side and the spell side, and this is nothing new. And this is why I want to hit up this history on this stuff. What's your intake on that, as far as the Roman side goes, Jessica?
Yeah, I mean, throughout history, there have been accounts of the cynocephaly. And now I know you were talking about like the difference between a dogman and a werewolf. Could be the same thing. Okay, especially in some cultures. But there have been accounts of this going back for centuries of these things. And even like armies of dogmen or werewolves, I guess, even when, what was it like, who was it? King Arthur, I think, fought a whole army of dogmen or dog-headed men in Edinburgh. Okay. I mean, long time ago. That's like medieval times, basically, right? So,
yeah.
I don't know. They're here. Okay, they're here today. They're still here today, and we're getting accounts of them all over the world. I hear about them mostly in the United States and in the UK for the most part, but doesn't mean they're not all over the world still. But yeah, just a long history of them.
Oh, there is, and like, so another divine one that I know about in history, and I didn't really hit this one up today on the English side of it, but it actually came from England. And there's an old book, I can't remember the name of it, that one of the monks had wrote, and it talked about this man went into the fork of the road at midnight and met Lucifer at the fork of the road. And he asked Lucifer for the gift of the wolf. He wanted to be turned into the werewolf to get revenge on some people who had done him wrong. And so there you see another type of divine entity creating these things. And that's I don't remember when that happened. I mean, that was a long time ago in England. I had a hard time looking it up again. And I think dogman and werewolf are two different beasts. They could be, Don. And for a long time, I thought this very same way. But then I start thinking, and I start doing more research, and I start learning more than what I knew before. And I'm like, I can see why people get this confused. And I can see how it can actually be. Both of them are werewolf. One is natural, which is what we'd call dog man. One is created, which is what we know as werewolf. And that's why I kind of posed that question to everybody. Just kind of, because look at what I put out here. Buddy, if you don't sit still, you're going to get down again. Now, you can't get much higher, bud.
He must send something.
No, that was actually different.
Yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah. Roxanne, that's going to be a different story. I will cover that one. This one here is actually older than that story there that you're thinking of, but we will get into that one. There we go. Don't get your heart and your head rusted up during the medieval age due to swinging that rusty old sword and shield. Yeah, man. But so the funny thing is for like me growing up, hey, Val, I always associated werewolves with England. When I was knee-high to a grasshopper's butt, that's what I associated it with, was England. It wasn't until years later that I found out that's not as accurate as people think. There's actually very few accounts in England compared to the rest of the world. Now, a lot of stuff that was tied to England was actually brought over by other cultures into England. And that's where you get the mistake of werewolves in England coming from. There's only really been 2 pure English accounts that I've been able to find. And that's the one I talked about and the one I'll talk about. Go ahead, sorry. No, I was going to say there's also that movie, the Werewolf in London. Was that American Werewolf in London, though? Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was American Werewolf. Yeah, the good movie.
That was an American Werewolf.
I ain't seen that one in forever.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't an Englander. Okay, it wasn't a Brit. Yeah, it was American in London.
Yeah, daggone Americans. We like to muck everything up.
Right.
I think there's one that is what is from start to finish. I always say that Dogman, because if Dogman doesn't transform like, yeah, right. Yeah, and that's one of the difference. You can't get much higher, bud. That is one of the big difference in there. Did I freeze?
No, we can hear you.
Seem to be moving.
You're kind of going like you're freezing a little bit, but your audio is perfect, so you're fine.
Okay.
Yeah, you're
good deal. And that's why for a long time I always said there was a big difference. But the thing is, like I said before, Dogman came out in 1984. Before then, we called them werewolves. Most of the world called them werewolves. The only ones you really find that didn't call them werewolves was the Native Americans, and they called them Lala de Glala. That's rare. The only place you really find a difference between Dogman and werewolf is Native American lure. All the rest of them, cynocephaly, lycanthrope, the Kikiri, all this other stuff you're finding all over the world is described. You listen to the descriptions. They're 2 different descriptions, but they're called the same thing. And that's why I kind of posed that question earlier today in the beginning of the chat. It's frozen by the pew pew ray gun. Yeah, but he got bit by an English werewolf. I missed one. What one? Oh, the American werewolf. Oh, yeah, he did, Gary. You're right. I forgot about that. He did get bit by an English one.
That's how they came
Yeah, I
to the
remember
US,
that.
apparently. Maybe he got bit over there and then came over, brought them all over here. Started biting everybody.
Right, it could be. Well, you know, in Native American term, your dog man is one of the ones that's known as the first beings. They were here before humans. Same as Sasquatch, you know, Shiatonka. Same as Jinn. Same as elementals. All these things were here before humans. If you study the history, that is Native American lore. Throughout the rest of the world, you'll see a lot of the similarities, but they're called the same thing. It's only the U.S. is where you really find a difference of them being separated. Hey, Yada. They do. Like one of the biggest things, Uncut, is like what we call dogman nowadays. They have a tail, which is where the werewolves, they do not. So that's like when this investigation I was on last night and the one I'm currently doing, both accounts, one in 1974 and the one a few months ago, they didn't have a tail, which led me to believing they were werewolf related. And then I asked Jessica to blind remote view something for me, which ended up being this case, because I had a very bad feeling about this case. And so I wanted to get as much information on this case as I possibly could. And that's why I asked her to blind remote view it for me. And her confirmation on that blind remote view kind of furthered my suspicions. Anubis is a prime example. Yes, Walken. Anubis is a very good prime example. It really is. I hear sirens. There may be more than one or two definitions as well. Yeah. Because they could be more than just what we see as werewolf and dogman. And you're, Uncut. I can't dispute that one bit. We're seeing that throughout this history. This is why I like to bring up history on this stuff. I was attacked by 3 dogs. Can't imagine a werewolf bite. No joke. Well, I mean, so, you know, in my book, Vangerian Guard, Book 1, House of Battle, which is based off on werewolves of World War II, I kind of, that's how Himmler had transformed the werewolves, was through a bite. And in all actuality, the idea of a bite causing the transformation, that was I can't remember if that came from England years later or when it was. I can't remember off the top of my head. But that would come years later after all this. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Don. Yeah, I seen that earlier when I was in there looking at some video stuff and answering some comments. I'll just stay home safely. I'll just stay safely in my home and let you all hunt the cryptids for me. Firewater. Yes, thank you. Thank you, the girl. You guys keep better track of that than I do. You guys are awesome. So what would be the most frequent type of dogman you've remote viewed, Jessica? And would there be a less common one? What would be their types according to that image you usually share? Oops. I ain't got no sound. You're muted.
Sorry. I had ambulances going by the house. So, yeah. I guess, I mean, one of the more common ones when I first started, when I got the first couple of remote viewing targets on dogmen attacks or suspected dogman attacks, what I was seeing looked like hyena type dogmen. And some people claim that the hyena type are not even dogmen at all. Okay, but it looked like the only way I could describe it, when I saw that chart from the North American Dogman Project, they looked more like the hyena type than they did like a German Shepherd type or the werewolf type from that. What is that movie? Some movie where they all look like this particular werewolf. Van Helsing. That's right. Yeah. So I guess kind of the hyena type. Sometimes when I've done some remote viewing of attacks. I mean, most of the attacks that, like, when I get assigned a suspected dogman attack, it's usually a big cat. It's not even a dogman.
Oh yeah.
So
That don't surprise me, especially like here in Missouri. We got a lot of cougars. Missouri Conservation won't admit it. We have a lot of cougars. I've been stalked by cougars here several times. I've followed them down the road. I've seen them in other locations. I argue with them all the time. Richard, did Jessica remote view the area you were in last night? The general area, yes. I have 2 locations. They're both 4 miles apart. So, yes. Part of the area I was in last night was part of that remote view. So, I wouldn't be surprised if there are 4 or 5 sources that appear as dogman or werewolf, and even combinations of both. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely possible. Okay. Okay, it looks like I'm caught up on the comments. So let's look into India here. In the mountains of India, there lives men with the head of a dog whose clothing is the skin of wild beast. They speak no language but bark like dogs, and in this manner make themselves understood by each other through they understand each other this way. Their teeth are larger than any other dogs, and their nails are like those of animals, but longer and rounder. They inhabit the mountains as far as the river Indus. Their complexion is swirly. They are extremely just like the rest of the Indians whom they associate. They understand the language, but are unable to speak it. Instead, they use signs with their hands and their fingers. Kind of like what the deaf people, like our deaf people, sign language. That's how they do it. They are called, buddy. You're being a pain in the butt. Now stop. They are called the Kalisteri, in Greek cynocephali, dog head. They live on raw meat and number about 120,000. And so we kind of get a sneak peek into the Indian version, the Kalisteri. The cynocephali living in the mountains do not practice any trade, but live by hunting. When they have killed an animal, they roast it in the sun. They also rear numbers of sheep, goats, and asses, drinking the milk of the sheep and whey made from it. They eat the fruit of the Siptakora, whence amber is procured, since it is sweet. They also dry it and keep it in baskets, as the Greeks keep their dried grapes. They make rafts with which they load this fruit together. They make rafts which they use to carry this stuff and float it with well-cleaned purple flowers and 260 talons of amber. So they make different sides of rafts with different types of stuff that they use to float around to get it transported. They exchange the rest for bread, flour, and cotton stuff with the Indians, from whom they also buy swords and hunting wild beasts. They also get bows and arrows and spears. Being very skillful in drawn bow and hurtling the spear, they cannot be defeated in war, since they inhabit lofty and inaccessible mountains. Every 5 years, the king sends them a present of 300,000 bows and as many spears, 120,000 shields, and 50,000 swords. They do not live in houses, but live in caves. They have set out for the... Sorry. There we go. I'm still dealing with some allergies from last night. Um, they set out to chase with bows and spears, and as they are very swift on foot, they pursue and soon overtake the quarry. The women have a bath once a month. The men do not bathe at all, but only wash their hands. They anoint themselves 3 times a month with oil made from milk and wipe themselves with skin. These clothes of the men and women alike are not skin with the hair on it, but skin tanned very fine. The richest wear linen clothes, but they are few in number. They have no beds, no sleep, or they sleep on leaves and grass. He who possesses the greatest number of sheep is considered the richest. And so, in regard their other possessions, all both men and women have tails above their hips like dogs, but no longer in no not more hairier. Or no, I'm sorry, they're but longer and hairier. They are just and live longer than any other man, approximately 170 to 200 years. So you're seeing the description very much like a dog man in the Indian one. These are more along the lines of the dogman style. Um, okay, I just want to make sure I wasn't missing none of your guys' comments here. Firewater. This makes me feel so stinky for waiting to get to the shower after this. Yeah. So in this one here, you've asked this question several times, and I never really knew. I didn't actually. I had forgotten about the Indian werewolves, and when I was digging into it, this is where I actually found an age, 170 to 200 years. Now this is the ones with the tail. So I don't know if it would be the same with the non-tail ones versus the tail ones, but we know from this one this is tail related.
That's
Yeah.
pretty old. I mean, that's a long life. We've always wondered about how long they live. That's a long life.
Yeah.
But see, humans probably live
Oh
longer.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. We were always told that humans didn't live as long, you know, in the 1800s, 1700s, whatever. But I mean, at some point, maybe humans did live way longer.
Could be. Hey, Straw Dog. Well, I mean, if we study ancient history on humans, if you go way back in days of the Old Testament, in days of ancient Sumerian and Anunnaki, we lived hundreds to over 1,000 years old. So, I mean, we do have that in our history. I mean, that's in Christianity, that's in ancient Sumerian, that's in the Quran, or it's in the Muslim religion. I mean, they all talk about this stuff here of living long ages.
Well, I certainly don't want to live
Okay,
as long as these days. Not today.
Yeah. What I describe is considered a werewolf in appearance, but it acted nothing like the Hollywood version, unless it is a version where its body language is just like a person with paranormal things. Well, that's an interesting thought there. Actually, very interesting thought, Uncut. Because if we listen to some of these accounts with these mainly dogman, what we call dogman nowadays, they have raccoon-like hands, and they're told to hear the clicking and popping whenever they transform, go from all fours to 2 legs or 2 legs to all fours. You hear very common that they have a clicking and popping to them. So, I mean, that could be, bud. I mean, that's not out of that realm of possibility with what you're talking about. According to the Bible, some people live 600 to 900 years old. Well, if you actually study it, freaky, there's some that even live to be over 1,000 years old. Yeah, that would be a big part of it, Richard. The fake food, the 3D printing of food, and all the other chemicals and stuff they put in it. It's probably the reason why our lifespan are getting shorter. We started picking our lifespan back up. Now it's going back down again. Hey, Larry. So, is there any register of any amicable encounter, or perhaps a more friendlier one, or is it all just grouped in danger? So on that one there, yeah, Moon, how's it going? Yeah, she's been busy today. So on your question, Walking, if you break him up into werewolf, dogman, majority of the time, your dogman are the more gentler ones, more kinder ones. They're more like guardians. They don't really want to be messed with. Where werewolf, most of the time, it's either because they have a grudge against somebody. That's why they took the spell or the potion, or somebody cursed it without their knowledge. Then you can also go on the same aspect. If you study the reports coming out about the militarized ones, dogmen are more beast-like and harder to control, where the werewolves are easier to control because they still keep their humanity. So it kind of go either way. But as far as going back to like the Native American times, some of this historical stuff, it seems like the ones with the tails are more what's a good way of putting it? More gentle, more kind. Make sure I didn't miss any comments here. Paranormal things associated with it appear out of nowhere. No sound, mind communication. It was like person's mind inside of the wolfish dog being, and it seemed like it knew who it was. Yeah, I mean, and that would fit with some of the stories on either side of it, really. It's just the most common one. Now, there has been reports of what we know as werewolves that were protectors. They took the curse to protect a family or something like that. That's very few and far in between, but there is some stories about that out there. Oops, did I miss one? Okay, no. Walking slowly towards me with its mouth hung open like some kind of controlled craziness. Ooh. Okay, so the ones with the tails are more friendlier than the ones with, the ones, if you study Native American lore, you're what we call dogman nowadays. They are guardians. They're known to guard families. If they adopt a family, they'll be protective of that family. They're known to guard sacred areas. They're known to guard graveyards. A lot of times when you're dealing with what we call dogmen nowadays, they're seen around graveyards, and they're known as protectors of the graveyard. That one that Jessica showed that one day digging, and if I remember right, you said it had an image of a key, and that's how you and me got on the conversation about portals and needing the key to enter a portal.
Yeah, that's right. That was the Ohio grave digging dogman, and Colleen Norris owns that video. That was taken in a can't remember the name of that cemetery, but her daughter's two friends were driving through there on their dinner break at work, and they thought they were looking at an old dirty lady. They said, like, digging in that hole. That was something that I had remote viewed at some point, and key was in that remote viewing data. And so I thought it was interesting that you made that connection to the key, the portal key.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
So Dennis Carroll mentioned that. Yeah, it was. I mean, it really was. Walken says, so Dennis Carroll mentioned them being psychotic in one of the shows he did with Jessica Jones. I thought the most of them weren't able to have friendly behavior and was just a fight or flight. It really depends on the situation. Now, it's a lot like your Bigfoot. A lot like them. You're going to have like a lot of what I deal with out here. Hey, Twisted. I have very, very positive encounters with my guest here. Bud, you're being a pain in the butt. But I'm also not above knowing it just takes one with a bad attitude can ruin that good experience. I'm a firm believer this is this way in what we call dogman nowadays. I am very firm believer this is the same with them. They have you listen to the stories, they have their own mentalities, they have their own way of thinking, their own stuff. Just because they don't communicate like we do doesn't mean they don't have their own personalities like we do as well. So you can easily have one that is very negative and you'll have a very negative experience with them. So that is well within that realm of possibility when it comes to that stuff. I'm trying to get caught up back up here. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to keep up with your all's chats and answer your questions as we go. Reincarnation is a real thing. Motivation for this might be to protect the ones that they care about. And seeing there in Edgar, yeah, I mean, good to see you in here. There has been stories where people has taken on the curse of the wolf to protect a family member or a family or to get revenge on something that's happened to them. So, I mean, that is definitely in that realm of possibility. It was calm and relaxed, only so wild, like in a demeanor. Yeah. I want to know, Uncut, did it have a tail? I'm curious about that. Oh, like dogs with different behaviors and personalities. Yes. Yes. I wonder if the Athenians created the dogmen since they created all sorts of mixed Athenians. From what the oldest text that I could find, which is ancient Sumerian, will tell you that these things were here first before the Anunnaki came. That's what I found. And if you study Native American lore, they also tell you that they're one of the first beings. So they were here before mankind too. So you got two different cultures from two different time frames saying the same thing. Still don't. Yeah, no, I don't want to go in a dark alley with them either. Ask Margolin about that. What is? Oh, his name is Snow Walking. This is my late mom's dog. He's my buddy. But makes sense if you push it past a certain point. It will definitely. Yeah, you push me past a certain point, I'm going to react very negatively. Shiai Tonka will do the same thing. You push him or her too much, they will react very negatively. These things will as well. For a minute, I thought Eric was being attacked by a horned slug. Then it morphed into a little dog. Yeah, he's starting to be a pain in my butt right now. He has been very, very needy, and usually he sits still for me pretty well, and he's not doing that today. There's the goats on my ramp. I can hear them outside there. If they were here first, then dogman and werewolf are different beasts. And that's kind of where I get there, where I come from with that on Dawn. I mean, granted, our ancestors all called him a werewolf. In one name or another, they were known as werewolves. But that's where I say where the natural ones are and the created ones are. So they both could be werewolves. Just one's a natural and one's a created one. That's where that thought process came from. Trying to control an outcome of the whole thing, meddling with or without any knowledge or proper understanding of the whole thing might get you bitten, sort of. Yeah. The thing is, even though, so say you come up to an Unlugla dog man, just because he's acting peacefully, don't push your luck. Honestly, don't push your luck. Don't be. Yesterday, I don't know what was dealing with. Something was very old, very ancient that was messing with me last night on my investigation. I didn't press my luck. I pushed it to a point that I know I need to get out of here or something bad is going to happen to me, and I got out. You need to do the same process with anything, cryptid, paranormal, supernatural. That is the mindset you need to know. If something is above your power, you need to be very careful. It keeps from treats in your pocket. Yeah. Heck yeah, man. Monkut said, I only saw it from the front. It walked to me from the corner in the garage in about 8 steps, then stopped in front of me just staring. Oh. Welcome back, Blue. I'm sorry, I'm trying to. Oh, man, I am way far on comments here. Guys, I apologize. This chat is flowing great, and I love it. So if I miss your guys' stuff, I apologize. I'm like way far behind here.
It's like me on the tip
in the shape.
Right.
Yeah. Hands and a person, legs like a person, body like a person, only hair everywhere, and the wolf head. So a very common depiction of what we call a maid werewolf, rougarou. It'll have a lot of hair on the head, a lot of hair on the shoulders, some hair on the arms and legs, a lot of hair around the groin area. Their chest and abdomen will be almost bear-like, with very little skin. Um, that is your most common one with no tail. So that is what we would consider werewolves nowadays, a common depiction for them. Like the two encounters I had in the area I was at yesterday was that very same description as well, which is what led me to thinking these are more of werewolf than dogman. Oh yeah, see, I can see that. I mean, you're 5 at a time. You're going to miss out a lot of stuff because you'll be freaking out. When was your mistake recent sighting? Edgar, are you talking about what I was doing on this werewolf investigation I'm on, or dogman? Oh, there we go. Oops, I lost it. So the most recent sighting was 4 miles from where I was last night. Okay, dude, we're not playing this game. You're not behaving. Sorry, guys. Was 4 miles from the location where I was yesterday. Now, this one was a different color than the one that happened in 1974. But other than that, the description was the same. Now, the one in 1974 was pure black. The one a couple months ago was black and brown. So could the one from 1974 have gotten older, therefore started losing its color, graying out, which is where you're getting that black and brown? Possible. Or am I dealing with two separate ones? Also very possible. Yeah, I know, Moon. He's just, it's hard for me to do anything when he won't sit still and he keeps digging his claws in the back of my neck and that starts hurting. An old man a mile behind me saying he saw one in the valley recently. Oh, twisted. Wow. Let's get on to another one here. Yeah, there you go. Stay right down there, bud. Well, I'm sorry your claws hurt, bud, and you're digging them in the back of my neck. So let's look at Ethiopia. I want you guys, this is kind of an interesting one here too. After traversing the Egyptian oasis, one is confronted with 7 whole days with utter desert. Beyond, ow, dude, your claws. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Damn, that one got me good. Oh man, that one hurt. Yeah, he got me good on that one. Beyond this lived the human cynocephali, dog faces. Alongside the road leads to Ethiopia. It seems that these creatures live by hunting gazelles and antelopes. Further, they are black in appearance and they have a head and teeth of a dog. And since they resemble this animal, it is very natural that I should mention them in the. I was quoting somebody. I forgot to put my quotes in. They are, however, not endowed with speech, but utter shrill squeals. Beneath their chin hangs down a beard. We may compare it with the beards of the dracoons, the serpents. And strong and very sharp nails cover their hands. Their whole body is covered with hair, another respect in which they resemble dogs. They are very swift on foot and know the regions that they are inaccessible. That is why they appear so hard to capture. So you have another one here that is very what we call dogman-like. And this is from Ethiopia, which I didn't know. This actually, I just learned about this one the other day. I didn't know Ethiopia had werewolves. That was actually, I'm like, oh, I definitely got to add this one. Have you ever heard of them?
Africa has some really interesting dogman-like creatures. There's one called I think it's called the Kishi. And I don't know if that's in Ethiopia or not. It might be, but it's actually a man. It looks like a human man, but on the back of his head which is usually covered by like dreadlocks, is a wolf or like a hyena's face. And what it does, it attacks women mostly. Anybody that he becomes like romantically involved with, he will be like one face, like a human face in public, and then like he'll turn into a hyena. His other face will come out, and he'll end up like eating the woman with that face. It sounds weird, but
Oh man.
I did a show on it a while back, about a year ago. Yeah, they do have hyenas.
We kind of talked about that hyena one time, which in Africa, there's medicine men that's known to use magic to transform into different stuff. And a hyena is one of them they like to transfer into. And that's why I always thought I can't classify the hyena dogman as a dogman, because you study the African lure, they describe the very same thing that they're talking about in that scale. Not only that, you also know that the Druids did the same thing with their werebeast. They were able to take a skin of an animal and transform into it. And there has been accounts of Druids taking hyena skins and transforming into a were hyena. So that's why, for me, and I'm just my side of it, I can never put hyena style in with the dogman, because it's something. They're shapeshifters. The shapeshifters act like in the SWs. So it's not the same shape system as like the Rougarou. It's a different style. They're both shape shifting, different methods of shape shifting, if that makes sense. But that's just my opinion. I know a lot of people put it in there. I, for one, I can't. Dario wants to know what the cryptid Ethiopian name, Jessica. That is, they actually call it the cynocephala here.
I think it's called the Kishi.
Let me print it.
The Rishi or the Kishi. I can't remember. I'll look it up. It's either Keishi or Kishi, maybe. Kishi.
Yeah, I'll drop this one here. This is the one that they had for the Ethiopian one that I found. I could be saying the name completely wrong. I can't. I'm not good at speaking other languages. The Cynophorosophy.
It's called the Kishi. That's what they're asking me about, that one. And I don't know about Ethiopia, but it's in Africa. The Kishi.
Yeah.
It's a man with a hyena. It's a man's face with a hyena's face on the back of his head.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. I seen Ethiopia. That's why I was like, this is what they came up with Ethiopia, which is this name. Oops, I lost it. Right, cheer. And this is what the Ethiopians call theirs. I just can't say that name very good. That's why I said cynocephala, because I just can't do it. I struggle with it. William's in here. Hey, William, how's it going? The Kishi is a two-faced demon in Angolia. According to legend, a Kishi has the attractive human man's face on the front of its body and a hyena's face on the back. Kishi are said to use their human. Let's see. There's human. There it is. Quit moving around on me. Human face as well as smooth talk, others charms to attract young women, who they then eat with the hyena face. The hyena face is said to have long, sharp teeth and jaws so strong they cannot be pulled. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of where that's just where my mindset on them are. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the Ethiopian one was cool though, honestly. But Cynoprosophy. There we go. I forgot. I'm sitting there looking at my notes, and I forgot I broke it down. Cynoprosophy was the Egyptian one. So, not the Egyptian. I'm sorry, Ethiopia. So this one here was what kind of Roxanne was talking a little about, and this is that one English one, and this is interesting. This one here, I have mixed feelings if this is an actual encounter from England or not, and we'll get into it because I put the whole story about it here. No, wait, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of a German one. Anyways, the English one, the werewolf, Old Stinker, also known as the Beast of Branstone, is not a recent phenomenon. It was first reported in the 18th century, but these sightings concentrated around the town of Hull are especially intriguing, considering that English folklore is rather barren of werewolf stories. Never mind, I was thinking of another one that's got me that I can't really say that is an actual werewolf or not, just because of a lot of stuff that happened for this guy to admit he was what he was. So the one that Roxanne was talking about, I think, is the one I'm about to hit next, which is the German one. Let me look. Yeah, okay, never mind. Roxanne, that was the German one. I'm sorry. I did get it mixed up. Kind of close together. But in English lore, you won't find too many cases of actual English werewolves. Most of them were brought in from another country and adopted in. There is this one and that one I was telling you about where the guy made a deal with the devil at the fork in the road. That is about the only two that I've been able to find. The word Kishi or Nikishi or Makushi means spirit in several Bantu languages spoken in Democratic of the Congo. Hey, Callaway. I'm trying to get.
Kishi's the word. They call it the two-faced demon. So it's a dark spirit, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Well, and just like the other African lures that I was talking about earlier, how the medicine men take on a belt and will transform a lot like the druids did. Those were always stemmed with darkness to it as well. And that's more along the lines of the SWs. I mean, you study the SWs, they take the pelt, transform into what the pelt is. You're seeing the same concept over in Africa. So, and this is once again, it shows you that there's different cultures around the world with similar type stuff. Right, the Rougarou came from France. Yes, I'm sorry, Mike. This thing is jumping and it keeps. Y'all are doing great. So yeah, that Kishi, I haven't looked that one up. I've heard of it before, but I haven't looked it up. But it does. I do remember hearing something that had two faces on it. So that's, yeah. I mean, that's cool. It really is, and that quite possibly could be a different type of one. I don't know. I need to look into that one a little bit more. Walking. Have you had any? Do you know any of them from the English side of it that I didn't hit on?
You're talking about the werewolves?
Yeah.
I don't know of any extras. No, I mean I can't think of any.
Yeah, so I couldn't find that.
Other
Either.
than
Sorry, I got to turn
movies.
this fan on. I'm starting to cook in here. I got to turn that fan on. Oh, top of the hour. Thank you, Roxanne. You need to get a quick drink or something. I'm going to play a video real quick. Thank you for letting me know, Roxanne. She's awesome, dude. Y'all give a hand to Roxanne. She's a phenomenal mod. She helps keep me in line. Well, if I get this thing to work for me, there we go. Come on, baby. We'll watch a little commercial on Dark Angel. I don't have my Dark Angel medical kit with me because I had it out in the field yesterday, and I've got to transfer things. But I have 2 different Dark Angel medical kits. I really like their product. Kerry Pocket Doc Davis, who is has been in the medical field for a long time, military, outside. He makes the absolute very best medical trauma kits and first aid kits you can buy on the market. They are FHA or FSA, HSA friendly. You can use them to buy these kits. You're going to pay a little bit of money to buy them, but you get the very best in the market. For right now, use DA Roberts code cryptid20 to get 20% off. They do have Sezzle, so if you can't buy one outright, you can use Sezzle to buy it. You can go to YouTube or Instagram to Dark Angel Medical, and he does videos showing you how to use his kits. But those kits, I highly recommend them. I take them out in the field with me all the time, and I have one in my truck. All right. Let's get caught up here. I'll wait till you're done. Reveals ghost in hunting on the lodge. Oh, crap. That moon is a fiction novel. Oh, okay. You guys are hitting another thing up. I've seen something else and I just missed it. This chat is awesome. You guys are awesome. There it is. I think he hounds the Bakersville is about a ghost and a haunting of a hunting lodge. I could be wrong. I must have missed that one there. There's another. A lot of people in England will mix up the black shuck as a werewolf. The black shuck is actually a completely different entity. Now, the black shuck is very common to the hellhounds that follow Odin in the Wild Hunt. England also has their own version of the Wild Hunt. But the black shuck is very similar to the hellhounds that follow Odin in the Wild Hunt. But a lot of people do mix up the black shuck with a werewolf, and they're more of a hellhound than they are a werewolf. If I remember right, didn't you have some werewolf or dogman reports here recently? I can't remember. I was thinking you said something on there.
I have not personally taken a current werewolf report or dogman that I can remember. Okay. But we do have one. I do talk about, we have an area over here where I live where we've had reports for at least the past 20 years of it's the north part of the county. We have a werewolf. It's right down the road from the Etowah Indian Mound, the burial mounds out there. Okay. What we consider to be, I've always been told they were called Indian burial mounds. Okay. And I did a show last week on those. Okay. On the burial mounds, but I don't think they're burial mounds, all of them. I don't know. I'm not sure. Some of them were burial mounds and they had giants in them and stuff, but we do, I did that show where I was actually comparing the dogman sighting map with the North American Dogman Project to the mounds map, and they kind of correlate. So
yeah, they do. Yeah, they really do. I believe if you have to put that with the missing 411, they line up quite well, and along with the came systems too. It's amazing how so much cryptid activity and supernatural activity line up to caves and 411s. But that's where I was mistaken. I was thinking you actually had a report, and you were talking about you hear stuff. So I apologize on that one. I was listening to you the other day at work, so I was driving and trying to listen to the show at the same time.
I can't remember. I don't think I have, though. I don't know. I'm so busy. I don't know one day to the next. I have no idea what I've taken. I might have.
Don says, didn't you and Robbie have a close call with the dog man?
We got surrounded by something, and Robbie thought it could be dogman. I think it was Bigfoot, but I don't know because we couldn't see what it was. We could just see the shadow out, like the outline of whatever they were. It was multiples. So we don't know. We really don't know what it was, but it could have very well been dogman. It felt very sinister. It did not feel good. And this is a place that I frequent. I've never felt that ominous before. It was rough. Like what a dog man would say.
And if I remember right, you do a lot of looking around Fort Benning area, which I was stationed in
Mhm.
Fort Benning for a little bit, and I can tell you if the military stuff is true about the dogman and the werewolves, I can see where an encounter close to Fort Benning would be that way because I can tell you there's some weird stuff that happens at Fort Benning at night.
Mhm. Oh yeah, yeah. I
Um,
mean, at all the different bases around, especially around Georgia, and all the army bases are like Fort Stewart, Fort Benning. I mean, like Fort Stewart's out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, I went to school. It's down in Hinesville, Georgia. I went to school at Georgia Southern, which is it's about 45 minutes from there, about an hour at the most, like 45 minutes. And it's just nothing but trees and woods. And I have people I know personally who have had Bigfoot encounters out at Fort Stewart.
mhm. Well, I mean, yeah, I can see that. I got lucky when my unit was disbanded in Fort Benning. Most of my unit went to Fort Stewart. I was trying to get away from there, so I ended up getting lucky and getting stationed at Fort Riley, Kansas. I wanted to be closer to home. Hey, Candy. I wanted to be close to home. I was one of the very lucky few that when my unit got disbanded, that got transferred away from Georgia. Everybody else went to Fort Stewart.
Yeah.
But I can tell you too, Fort Riley, Kansas. Yeah, I learned real quick. I don't fish on the ponds of the tank trail at night in Fort Riley, Kansas. There's a lot of weird crap that goes on around there too.
Gosh, there's so many cryptid sightings and reports that come out of these army bases or just any military base. A lot of them.
Yeah. William says, remember the train box cars with the shackles in them in the Glacier National Park? Yeah. I mean, and it's sadly, like Fort Riley, Kansas actually has a railroad that goes through it too. I've had to load equipment on trains like when we're getting ready to go over to the big kiloliter box. That's a whole new experience when you're loading heavy equipment onto a train and you're going down miles of railroad carts park your equipment. One false move and you fall off that thing. It's a knuckle binder driving on them things. But a lot of bases actually have train tracks that go through them, and that stems from like World War II mostly because they use them to load them up to ship, take them to shipyards, and ship them out overseas. A lot of them are still active to this day.
Wow.
85-year-old movie. It looked fiction. Author Conan Doyle. I watched it on TV. Elementary. My dear Watson. School as kids. Early 70s. Oh yeah. But see, and that's it's. And you've done shows on this with the military ties to it, and which I agreed to it because of look at Project Paperclip, World War II, the German werewolves, the stories that used to be able to find that you can't find no more because it mysteriously got taken off, about the Allies talking about these werewolves being used against them. When Project Paperclip came over, I can see where the U.S. picked that. The U.S. is just as much into gene splicing as any other. Facts are facts, folks. Every country is going to be into creating a type of super soldier or getting the next step above their opponent. So nothing is off the shelf when it comes to that. Anything is fair game to these people. They don't care what happens to people. All they care about is gaining the upper hand. So that's why when you do stories on that, I kind of agree with you. I can see that happening. Not only have we had reports dating back from World War II of this happening, but we have current reports of this happening as well. So, yeah. Do these have any weaknesses? So, from what on my side of it, from what I studied and learned, the three best ways to unalive one is either have a vampire friend, cut their heads off, and burn their bodies. Now, the same thing actually goes with the vampiric side too. Very same thing. It's funny how the vampiric side and the werewolf side, when it comes to this stuff, are very similar. Have you heard anything else besides that, Jessica?
Oh my gosh. Well, I actually have talked to a friend of mine, someone who I know, who he may have a contract to go after problematic dogmen. And we're talking about contractor. Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
and we're talking about dogmen at this point. Now it could be werewolves too. Okay, I didn't get
Mm-hmm.
any. I didn't ask for specifics, but I was asked like, how do you unalive them? Like, what's the process? Of course, I had to ask. I have to ask, right?
Oh,
And I was asking like, well, what kind of firearm do you use? Like, what do you use? Can you use a knife? Like, I mean, I know you don't want to get too close to them. And he said it was like a, what is it, like a is it a 450 Bushmaster or something? Like a Bushmaster. And then to finish them off, it's a knife in the heart to make sure they're dead. Okay. But it's
yeah.
guns, bullets for those. And then they bag them and tag them. Tag them and bag them. I mean, take them to the lab is what I was told. The lab.
Mm.
So what does that tell you?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. So, I mean, if this is a legitimate, whistleblower type deal, that tells you a lot, which fits in a lot with the Bigfoot side of it too. You need like a 458 SOCOM, something with 30 caliber or higher to penetrate the bone density. Yeah, Don, 458 SOCOM. Sorry. But yeah. So, and whenever I study, because I wrote about this in one of my Saga Grimson books, I actually looked up the weaknesses of vampires because he was, Grimson was fighting a pack of vampires over in Ireland, Scotland. And so when I looked it up, and the oldest one I could find was a 3 I talked about, but I can see where that, especially if it is dogman related, I can see where that works. A lot of people mistaken like silver as being a weakness for him. That was more on the vampiric side. And they came back to the thing because Judas sold his soul for 30 pieces of silver. Just like a stake to the heart, it has to be an aspen because Judas hung himself from an aspen tree. Judas was one of the oldest male vampire. Dude, sit still. You're being a black. Oldest vampires that you can find in history. And that's where that silver and the aspen comes from. That got bled over onto the werewolf side as well. But in all actuality, some of the oldest ones is what I was talking about, cutting the head off, burning the body, having a vampire kill a werewolf or a werewolf kill a vampire. So, I mean, yeah, we really just don't know. I mean, you can just study the history and listen to what it says. I mean, then you got your firsthand accounts right there. So, I mean, yeah. I'd like to know if if it's the same for both of them or not. I would think that'd be cool to know. Well, then, okay. Well,
I'll ask. How about that? I'll ask.
I just remembered. Yeah, I just remembered when it comes to like Rougarou, they say you got to dispatch the head to get rid of the Rougarou.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a polite way of putting it on YouTube. That's why I dispatch.
I know dispatch, remove, dislocate.
Yeah. But
oh my God.
relocate the head of the Rougarou in order to get rid of the Rougarou. So that would fall along the lines of what I found in history too. But so I mean, there's different theories out there on this type of stuff. There really is. It's hard to say.
Oh my God! In my head, I'm thinking like this week I should totally do a show on how to unalive each cryptid if you had to.
Oh!
People get mad at me if I did that, but I think that'd be a great show. How to unalive each cryptid.
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't want to hunt. Yeah. Well, and in all honesty, dude, come on. In all honesty, if you're trying to defend yourself, it's actually good knowledge to know if you're trying to defend yourself.
Yeah.
I will never promote going out and hunting these things like that. I never will. I will promote if you need to defend yourself. Do I go out armed when I go on these investigations? Yes, I go out armed. It's not to cause them harm. It's to protect myself as best of my ability.
Oh my God, cryptid self-defense.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, I just smiled. That's actually a really good idea. That's a good idea. I might be doing a show on that this week, y'all. Okay. Everybody's listening. That might be a show because I need to, make a list. We need to make a list like what to do, and it's not to go after them to hurt them. It's like if you have to defend
No.
yourself. I mean, it's kind of like I was watching these videos of those robot dogs. Okay, it was like those robot dogs that like police forces are using now, and like SWAT teams are utilizing. They can, I mean, they can do some damage. They can do a lot of damage to robots. They have weapons on them. And so people were saying, well, what if, you don't do it, don't ever do it. But if don't ever go out and like hit it in this certain location to disable it. We're never going to do that. So people are like kind of like showing like where the soft spot is in case you needed to disable one, let's just say. But they're putting it out there like this is to show you don't ever do this. Okay. It's like reverse psychology. You know what I mean? It's like don't ever do this, but this is where you do it. Okay. That's kind of what I'd have to do with the cryptid show.
No, I mean, that's a good idea. I'm sorry, I had to plug in my remote or my mouse. It literally just died when I was trying to get caught up on the comments. So that's why I was moving around. I was like, oh, crap, if my mouse ain't working, look down, the light was off. I was like, aw. So I've got it plugged in, and I've got to wait for it to quit glitching so I can get back up on everything, trying to get caught up, and it glitches around on the moving this stuff. Why didn't William the villain didn't have hair? I don't have hair either. $1 million.
$1 million. Oh my god.
Oh
yeah,
my
I've seen True Blood. I've seen the comments. True Blood is really good. I did watch that series. It was good. Yes. And they did. I mean, there's so many shows and movies I would love to catch up on one day when I have some time. Time is just not my friend these days. Time is not my friend. I don't have a whole lot of it. I wish it was my friend.
Yeah, I don't either. With the come on, mouse. Dang thing. This finally is starting to work now. I'm going to. Sorry, this thing was glitching out on me again. I haven't had time either, especially with it cooling off. Me trying to get out and get put up on these investigations where I'm not getting chewed up by bugs, and I've got my truck running now, so I can get out and do these places. That place I went last night was an hour and 20 minutes from my house, one way. So, I mean, I've got to get down to Table Rock Lake. I've got to get to other places, Moon Valley. So, yeah, time is probably our worst enemy. We just don't have enough of it. Like I've had a little bit of writing. I finished one chapter on one book, and that's all I've had a chance to do in the last 2 weeks. I've just been chock full busy with stuff to do.
Oh, yeah. Well, my kid's been out on fall break all week, so that has really changed my schedule this week, man. He goes back to school tomorrow, though, so that's good. We'll get back in a schedule.
Watkins says, check out the cabin in the woods. Lots of interesting stuff about cryptids, containment facilities. I'm interested in your opinion on what the particular part of the film.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I think you said that the other night. I have not seen that movie. I haven't seen it. I'll check it out though. Whenever I come across it, I'll try to check that out.
Firewater. Yeah, this channel is sponsored by Rogaine. Oh my God. Uncut, I'm catching up with you. I got tired of it, man. I was literally 100% looking like Homer Simpson. So yeah, I was like, yeah, it's time. Just buzzed it. William says, I got plenty of time just in case Jessica needs it.
I need to borrow you, William. I need to get you on my show sometime too. So come on and join me. Okay. And yes, I can borrow some of your time. Can I borrow your time, please?
Heck yeah, man. See this, what I find interesting about werewolves, I don't know too many people that at some point in their life, werewolves has not captured their fascination. Now, Holly Scrooge messes it up. Very famous for doing that. Holly Scrooge messes everything up all the freaking time.
I have a question for you.
And they mix. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. What do you think
Oh, you're good.
about? Okay, so one of the famous werewolves I remember growing up was Michael Jackson on Thriller when he
Oh
transformed
yeah.
in the movie. But he didn't look like a
Yeah.
wolf. He looked like a cat. Do you think he was a werewolf or a werecat? Do you
I
remember that?
never thought about that. Yeah. I always thought of it as a werewolf, but now that you say that, I remember him having quite a bit of feline features to him.
He even had like the slits for his
Wow.
eyes and everything, like a cat. Or I guess cats have slits.
Mhm.
Yeah,
The
he was like a
whiskers,
cat.
everything. Yeah.
Well,
He
he was a
did the
dog
eyes. Yeah, the
leader.
eyes were.
Yeah, it was when Michael and when him and his girlfriend went to the movies, right? And then he turned into it was like in the movies he turned into a werewolf, but it was more like a cat.
Mhm.
And then they went outside after
Mhm.
the movie, after the girlfriend screamed, and then they all turned into zombies after that. So it was a whole production.
Mhm.
It was a production. I had the making of Thriller as a kid,
Like,
like on VHS.
I remember when it came out on MTV, man, we were glued to the boob tube watching, Thriller by Michael Jackson. Like him or hating the Duke was a performer. I mean, he knew how to make videos, music videos. He really did.
Man,
He was a
those
storyteller.
those breakdancing zombies were the best. That was my favorite part.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. It's midnight. I first shut up.
Popping and looking
Now
with
you
the
got me
zombies.
thinking of
Yeah.
the song. You got me thinking of the song now. Yeah, I remember when that came out, man. That was man. I missed the '80s. '80s was great for music, great for
Yeah.
movies, great for everything. I missed the '80s. I really missed the '80s.
It was
Hey,
good
Micah
times.
Bird. So the ceiling for me right now. I'm back home. Yes, that gonna yeah. You guys have got me really. You and Jessica's really got my brain going nuts now. It was very cat-like. The dances were very cat-like.
Just
Huh.
the just his the werewolf. What I always thought was a werewolf actually was a cat. I think. I just
Hmm.
think that we should. I think it's something to look into. That's all I'm saying. I think we should look into that
Yeah.
because I don't think it was. I don't think it was a
Well,
werewolf all along. I think it was a cat. It was like a cat wolf. If there's such a thing, a
a lot
werecat.
of
A werecat.
yeah. Well, werecats are predominant in the South American countries. They had the were jaguar, the were panther. So I mean that stuff is actually got roots in mythology. They're very prominent in them countries. I was thinking there was another one to Africa because that's right. They can transform into a leopard or a lion too. But yeah, I mean, in all honesty, there's actually mythology that would suggest that that's pretty accurate. Oh yeah, yeah. 1969 had some good music too. Yeah, Liger. Thank you. Where to go? I just lost it. It shot away from me.
Sanitarium
Yes.
radio. Oh yeah, Liger.
Sanitarium Radio. Thank you for coming. Yeah, Liger. I remember that was another one. Yeah, that is the lion and tiger crossbreed, which closely resembles the saber-toothed tiger, which they have enough DNA evidence or stuff to clone woolly mammoth and saber-toothed tiger that they're wanting to release in the Siberian wilderness. But I start thinking because you listen to stories, there's even reports up in the northern parts of Canada right now of them seeing woolly mammoth to this day. So are they actually cloning them? Or are they using cloning as an excuse to say, yeah, okay, you're right, they're real. We cloned them.
That's a good point. Yeah, I saw a video of one that was like crossing a river this week.
Mm-hmm.
They're there. I mean, I
Yeah, I
think that
seen
we
that one like
probably
a
have
month.
islands. There's like islands of like Jurassic Park. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm convinced of it. I mean, we're getting dinosaur sightings here in the United
Mm-hmm.
States. I think that I don't know if they've always still been here. I just think that they're making a resurgence, I guess. I mean, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We have like the Georgia raptor. Okay, like a
Mm-hmm.
velociraptor that was spotted in Georgia. I mean, I've been out in the woods with my team, and I went off down the road to go do some hiking, and it sounded like, I swear to you, it sounded like what I would consider to be what a velociraptor would sound like in the woods. It was scary. Okay, like I was actually walking with my son, and my son, when I turned around to look at him, he had already trucked it back to base camp. He was like running back to base camp and just left me standing there, and that was fine because I would have been bait. I would have been eaten. I'd rather it eat me than him. But whatever it was, I never saw it, but it sounded like what I would think a velociraptor sounded like. Like the predator.
I remember you actually talking about that. That didn't that happen long when I first started getting to know you? I think is when you had that encounter, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I remember that. That is wicked. Yeah. That's what I thought. Yeah, I mean, I remember you talking about that, and I was like, "Wow, that's interesting." Because we know, you know, the local talk. Mimbe is dinosaur related, and I've always had a theory. I mean, this is. I could have swore I just heard a door shut, but I don't see no lights. I've always had this theory that the even when I was a kid, the meteorite didn't kill the dinosaurs. Because if that's the case, why do we still have whales? Why do we still have giraffes? Why do we have alligators, crocodiles, horses, rhinos, elephants, all this stuff that was supposed to have been wiped out in that time? If they were wiped out, then why do we still have this stuff here to this day? So that was my whole thinking of, I think it took out a large number of them? Yes. Anything within a close proximity of that impact, they took out. But there's too much evidence of stuff that was supposedly extinct that we're finding every single day it's not extinct. There's too many stories of these creatures and stuff like that that is very dinosaur-like, you know? Possibly. I heard a creaking like, to me it sounded like two doors closing, but I looked out there. It probably good was them dang goats on my ramp. One's in heat, so they're fighting. So, but yeah, I agree with you. I mean, so you possibly could have seen, heard one. I mean, I can't dispute it. I can't say yes because I don't have enough evidence to support it, but I can put it in that category as possible.
I don't know what it was.
Definitely.
What it was. It sounded like nothing I'd ever heard before. So, but nothing came after me. So I'm alive.
Yeah, you can look. Well, I mean, there's so many videos of that, and a lot of videos I debunk in a heartbeat. I mean, you got the lemurs running backwards that they're claiming were baby brontosauruses. For one, that wasn't the size. They're too small to be the size of a baby brontosaurus if you actually study it. Number two is you can see the lemur features. There's a lot of stuff out there that can debunk this. I remember one of them claiming to be a raptor and ended up being a chicken, which a chicken, if you look at the DNA outlook, is very close to a Tyrannosaurus Rex. So chicken's a daggone little Tyrannosaurus Rex. I mean, yes. I always thought they were like little velociraptors the way, because I'd watch them attack snakes and all this other stuff and how they move. I mean, and they move some wicked ways, but in all actuality, they're very close to Tyrannosaurus Rex. Hey, there are so many garage scientists doing DNA and other things. Can be anything be out there. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, William, absolutely right. And that's the thing too, is if we get into this old knowledge, like especially when it's dealing with werewolves, if people can figure out how to do that, look at your voodoo. Voodoo is very common with creating spells and potions to create these things. If other people's getting a hold of it, doing it outside of Louisiana area, that could explain why you have a lot of that stuff. I mean, for sure. But there is a long history of this, and people forget about that. They get to thinking about the new stuff, and they forget what our ancestors talked about. You and me did a phenomenal show dealing with the berserkers and Ulfanar. The Ulfanar is the Scandinavian version of a werewolf. They were very vicious, but they were very calculated. They weren't mindless like the berserkers were. They had knowledge and cunning to them. That's your Ulfanar. once again, werewolf, took the skin. Now, in reality, that would be more along the SW lines of it because they took the skin to transform along with the potion, but the potion is involved on that as well. I don't know. Very good possibility. I'll be in league with a Thunderbird. Me and 3 friends saw a giant shadow. Roxanne, if you actually study the description of a Thunderbird, it's a pterodactyl. It looks just like a pterodactyl. If you actually study the descriptions of them, it is very much pterodactyl-like. But let's see, do we want to jump in on the German side of it? I mean, the Scandinavian, you and me talked pretty good about that, and I forgot about that till just now. We actually talked quite a bit about that. As far as Germans, I mean, German stuff goes back to 1589. They got reports from all the way back in 1589 dealing with werewolves. So I mean, that's a long history, long history of that stuff, which that was associated with witchcraft. Uncut says, Jessica, if you seek it, of course, and in my opinion, even if you don't, but for sure, if you do seek it. Yeah. I'm kind of interested, man. You got to talk about that velociraptor in Georgia. I'm like, man, I need to get down there and try to hunt this thing down. I want to find this thing.
Yeah, there was actually a grandfather and his grandson, man and his grandson, went out. They were going to go hunting on their property. I think it was their property. I'm pretty sure, but it may have been in. I don't know where it was. I have the information somewhere, but they went looking for. They went to go hunting, and it was like before the sun came up, and it was still dark outside. And they said they heard some rustling in a tree or like some bushes, and they were kind of down the trail a ways, and they were in the dark, like in the shadows, and they could see like the moonlight. From what I can recall, the moonlight had like shined down, and they could see this bush moving, and then all of a sudden this dinosaur stuck its head out, and this full body velociraptor poked its head out, and it sniffed around, and I think they froze, and it sniffed like it was sniffing for them, and it had its head up in there sniffing, and then it ended up running off on 2 legs, and they trucked it back out. They did an about face and ran off back to their truck. You said it was a big one.
I think. Yeah, I think I've seen a video of that very similar thing, actually. These guys hid down in the ditch, and that thing came out and was sniffing around and looking at them. It's possible. Now, could that be another explanation for the missing 411? Possibly. I mean, if these things are still running around there, it is not out of the realm of possibility that we'd be on the menu. I mean, they're carnivorous. I don't think they're going to be picky.
Texas has a bunch of dinosaur sightings too. They have like the miniature T-Rexes running around. So look up the mini T-Rexes, mini like MINI, mini T-Rexes out of Texas.
Yeah, I've seen I think it was a YouTube video or a TikTok video about that one time. Hey Tim, you're right. There's a lot of giants. Look up Jesus Payon Jr. on for breaking Bigfoot and breaking discoveries. You actually in New Mexico, you have a lot of Bigfoot and dogman encounters in New Mexico as well. But yes, there's a lot of giants there too, because you got to think of the red-haired giants we're dealing with the Paiutes, and the Paiutes trapped them in the cave and burnt them alive. The red-headed giants were cannibals, which if you study a lot of Native American culture, just like any other culture in the world, a lot of them have stories about giants. I mean, they're either guardians or cannibals. You got a lot of stuff there in New Mexico. I'm trying to get some time saved up, money saved up, go see Jesus Payon over there, and do some investigations while I'm there. Oops, I missed one. Sorry. This thing is still jerking around. That's why I hate having it plugged in while I'm doing this. All my exes live in Texas. And it sounds like some kind of mini T-Rex thing, so... God, I forgot about that song until you said something. Now that's going to be stuck in my head. I can't call him Jesus, so I call him Big J. It's the big... Just call him Gonzo. But no, I mean, so I mean, it's that's what I love, and that's why I love doing these shows. Good night, Robin. Doing these shows because I don't base them off of just one. A lot of people are focused on one type of cryptid, one type of paranormal, one type of supernatural. I like it all, and I'm a firm believer they're all tied together. They really are all tied together. That's my beliefs. That's what I believe in, and that's just from the history that I've studied on these. That's why I do shows not just on one thing, but I do it on several different things because I believe it's all connected and it's all part of our history.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I cover everything too. Everything is so connected. So I learned that right off the bat, right when I got into the cryptid field. Everything's connected.
Oh, it is. I mean, and it's all fascinating. I mean, it really is. And there's a reason why we have natural fears of these things. There's a reason why we fear the dark. There's a reason why we fear noises that we don't associate with anything we know. There's a reason why we fear odd shapes that we can't make out. Is because we were prey at one point in time, and probably still are to a degree, still are prey, just not to the level our ancestors were. So, I mean, all that's going to be ingrained into our DNA, into our structure of we got to fear these things. Oh, crap, that's out of place. Run! I don't know that sound. Run! There's a reason why we were born that way.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually, Edgar, recent studies show that they were extremely wrong about the Tyrannosaurus Rex in more ways than but they were scavengers, but they were also very deadly hunters. And they've actually come to find out they may have had longer arms than what they originally predicted. I can't remember who it was. A recent scientific study came out, not a mainstream scientific study. Somebody that ain't bought and paid for, done some looking into this and come to find out a lot of this stuff was very wrong. They believe that some of them had feathers or wings. I think both. Probably even had. I can't remember.
Can you imagine?
There's a lot of new studies. Oh,
T-Rex with wings. Yeah. Because their little hands are so tiny. It's like they're like useless. So why wouldn't they be like birds? Like maybe those are for wings.
And I find it interesting because even as a kid, I was like, that don't make sense. Right? From a kid, I questioned a lot of mainstream education because it didn't make sense. It didn't add up. Yeah.
Tiny arms. Tiny arms. Yeah, we do, William.
Yeah. Honestly, what's the purpose? There's no purpose. It never made sense. And that's why I'm probably still the way I am now, is because I still question everything. It's like, oh, this is this way. Really? That really don't add up. Let's dive into this and look it up. And I love being that way.
Well, some people wonder if T-Rexes, what if they were dragons? Like all these dinosaurs were all dragons before. There's some dragons, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've done a couple shows on dragons, the petrified remains of these things that looks like mountains or looks like hills. I mean, I show you, I've got images from Google Earth of Kukulkan, and that's right here in the U.S. In fact, part of it's here in Missouri and part of it's there in Georgia. I mean, the remains of Kukulkan. Buddy.
I came across a real actual petrified dragon in Alabama. I was shown one. Yeah. And I have pictures of it. Yeah. I would like to go back there. That was on our dogman hunt that I went on. There was a petrified dragon on the trail that a man took us to. He was out there cleaning it off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Twisted, you're absolutely right, because the term dinosaur didn't come about till 1864, if memory serves me correctly. So before then, they were known as dragons.
Yeah.
I know one dino Eric wouldn't hunt, a turkey raptor. I don't know, man. If it tastes like turkey, I might. Um, oh, come on. Stupid mouse. Eric, Dubai breaks down the fake dinosaur agenda to cover up human giants. That is, I love Himalayan salt. But the more I start studying about Himalayan salt, I have not been buying it lately because they literally, well, when they harvest it, it looks like flesh. Well, I know I've done shows on stone giants, the petrified remains of giants. And when you break these rocks open, it looks like petrified flesh. I've got the pictures on here that I showed when I did the shows. When you break down the Himalayan salt, it literally looks like flesh. So they're saying they're using Himalayan salt as a cover of petrified giants. And so what you're eating is not really a Himalayan salt, but the fleshy remains of giants.
It's the fat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the fat back. Okay. It's the giant fat back. That's what we call that in the South. I don't know if it's called that everywhere, but yeah.
I don't know.
We're seasoning our food with giants.
Mm-hmm.
Will that make me so. Big? I believe it.
I do too. I can't dispute it. We know of organizations, and I'm not going to mention, but certain organizations tied to the alphabet soup people hide our history all the time. Yeah. They hide our history all the time. They really do. Yeah. Everything we've talked about tonight, they like to hide it. Everything we've talked about in all our shows, your shows and mine included, and Williams, and everybody else's, they like hiding that stuff. So if they're actually doing it, I cannot dispute that being the case because they do it all the time. You study every ancient religion, they all talk about how the gods were displeased with the giants, so therefore they flooded the earth to unalive them. And one guy that can really break this down in a lot better way than I can is Roger from Mud Fossil University. That dude is a whiz when it comes to the fossilization of giants from the Great Flood. So, yeah. When God flooded the land, the giants would be part of the land. Exactly. Yeah, William. Exactly. I missed something here. I'm sorry, guys. I'm having a hard time. Earth Goat, how's it going? They're also like stealing and erasing memories. Yeah, I've heard that a lot. And yeah, firewater Nephilims are a type of giant. They're not the only kind of giant. Even if you study ancient texts, it talks. Even the Bible. We'll just say the Bible. It talks about how the Nephilims resemble the old. So that's why I'm one of those that I cannot subscribe to the Nephilim being the only type of giants, and there's many different types. Nephilim were one type, and a lot of people will say that it was the fallen angels who mated with the women to create the Nephilim. No, it was the Watchers who mated with the women to create the Nephilim. The fallen angels was a different entity altogether. They just got consumed with them because of their sin of laying with teaching man magic and weapons and war and mating with the women to create, an abomination. That's just how they got, tied up with it. Edgar, possibly. I don't know yet. I can't really say yes or no. It's possible. The reptilians. You did a show on reptilians, and I did one a while back, but yours was a lot better than mine. Reptilians. There's a lot of evidence that yes, are they still here and probably snow? Come on, dude. Probably are now terrestrial instead of extraterrestrial. There's a lot of evidence say they were extraterrestrial at one time, and now you have some that still are, and some that remains. Now, other stories that you hear will tell you that they are the mutation of what dinosaurs were. They adapted, overcame, and became what we call reptilians now. Possibly two different types. maybe there are two types of extraterrestrials. Maybe that's true that they transform and now they're humanoid. All possible. I don't know for sure, but I know reptilians are steeped in ancient lore as well. Ginger Giant. Yes, so I have a merch line in my merch store called Ginger Giants. It's Ginger Giants Lives Matter because of Roxanne. So that is a merch line that I created just for Roxanne. I forgot about that, actually, Roxanne. Thank you. Ginger Giants. I forgot about that. I started watching your channel after seeing you on Jessica's channel, after seeing her on Spaced Out Radio, after seeing them on Dose of Reality. Yeah, Jessica, that's why I promote her show. Jessica, you are top notch at what you do. I love promoting people who actually tries to not fit one narrative, but goes after all the aspects of it. You know, I really do. And honestly, it's the best way to learn. So, you know, I appreciate all that.
Thank you.
So which one would be the most friendly cryptid? If the Siberian man isn't real, which one would be the highest part of the vibrational scale? Or are they like men? Probably the most friendly of the cryptids would be the Shiai Tonka. You know, Bigfoot. Would probably be the most friendly one. That's my opinion. What's yours on that?
Yeah, I was thinking Bigfoot right away. Bigfoot. Or just, you know, it's like humans though. I mean, they can be as nice as your sweet little grandma, or they can eat you. Okay, so but they have the tendency to be pretty nice. Like, you know, I don't know. There's a lot of little trickster cryptids out there too. So
I mean,
those are ones you got to watch out for. I say Bigfoot's the nicest.
Exactly. Well, you know, I would. I mean, yes. Now, is there stories of Native American stories of how Bigfoot warred and traded and stole women and men for mating? Yes, them stories are there. I mean, that's steeped in Native American lore. You also study them. What we call the type of we call Shiai Tonka is very friendly, but you piss them off. Well, they have ways of taking care of that. When we were young, children would communicate with them, or at least I could have. Then over time, I let go because, you know, everyone would say it was creepy. Well, and that's the thing too, Uncut, is not only that, but the brainwashing you get in school. That's why we cannot connect to nature like we used to. That's my opinion, my theory on it. We've lost that ability to communicate with things. If you study a lot of this, once again, going back to the Native American side of it, we used to be able to communicate with all the elements and all the spirits and all the creatures on the world, and we've lost it. So that's my opinion. What do you think, Jessica?
I don't know. Can you repeat that question? I'm sorry. Somebody was sending me a message. I zoned out on that one.
Oh,
sorry.
No worries. Uncut said, when we were young children, we could communicate with them, or at least I could. Then over time, I let it go because, you know, everyone would say it was creepy. It was the creepy kid.
Wait, I don't understand that. What they were what was creepy? I'm sorry. Maybe I'm missing something here.
He was able to communicate with the creatures.
Okay.
So being able to talk, yeah.
Okay, that's cool. If you can communicate with stuff, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little confused as to what that means. Must have misheard it or something.
Yeah, he was. You know, I was talking about how the Native Americans said they used to be able to communicate with them. They would trade, make war.
Oh, okay. We're talking about with Bigfoot and stuff. You're talking about Bigfoot, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was getting bombarded with messages over here, so I'm trying to keep up.
You're good.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. There is, you know, like a very common one is Gugwi. You know, one lure of it is Gugwi was a lot like Shiai Tonka. And then if I remember right, is when white man came over, They were trying to decide what they wanted to do. Some of them wanted to eat us. The other ones wanted us to leave them alone and them leave us alone. So that was the difference between Shiatonka and Gugwe. Gugwe means face eater. They're the ones that wanted to eat humans. So Gugwes are extremely aggressive. And that's just one of the Native American lures. I don't know what you've heard on your research.
Yeah, I would stay away from Gugwe if you can. What were we talking about earlier today? What were we talking about Gugwe? Maybe it was last night. We were talking about old green eyes on my show last night.
Yeah.
And some people think that old green eyes is a Gugwe. And so old green eyes is actually just some kind of entity that they say was, I mean, it's ancient. It's very ancient from the Native American lore up there. But it's not just lore, because the thing was seen, it was like some entity that was seen eating the corpses of the dead soldiers at the Battle of Chickamauga during the Civil War. But it's seen even today, and some people think it's a Bigfoot. Some people think it's a Gugwe. Other people think it could be like a dogman, because there's a fine line between like dogman and Gugwe, kind of, or like a werewolf. So because I think the Gugwe has like a long snout, right? It's said to have like a snout, kind of like they can get confused with like a dogman. So yeah,
they
Gugwe maybe.
Yeah, they're known as having like a baboon or a mandrill look to them with long. The reason why they got their name is they're known to eat the face like an apple. Hence the name Gugwe Faced Eater. Colin says, I'm still watching the show Green Eyes. Yeah, so this is some good stuff. We're getting close to our 2-hour mark. Is there anything you want to add in for a closing?
Oh man, no. I for whatever reason, I've been going really heavy on the werewolf and dogman shows lately because it's so fascinating, and there's so many accounts of them, so many reports, and it was really cool getting to do that remote viewing target for you, and that did have a very heavy military presence as far as those werewolf sightings go out in Missouri. So there's some sort of military connection, I think, and it might not be like our U.S. government military, it's some kind of like agency, or I mean, I did pick up on like military, okay, like a weapon. Let's just say like a weaponized thing, whatever that was. I was looking at was weaponized. Okay, so I think they're being used. I think they're being weaponized, and keep your head on a swivel, because hopefully they're not coming to a town near us, but who knows?
On all actuality, they're an hour and 20 minutes from me, which ain't technically. Yeah. Of course, I'm an old country boy. That's nothing. Closest town to me is 12 miles. That's the closest town. I live out in the boonies. But and the thing is, like, I've always been fascinated with it because I live along Niagara River. Niagara River is not only associated with Bigfoot, but associated with dogman as well. And which reason why I brought dogman into this as well, because, well, historically, dogmen were called werewolves. So I can't sit there and just leave that out of the comments, because technically, historically, it's accurate. Colin said, didn't Barry say he saw a herd or heard about Sasquatch being on a UFO?
Yeah, we've gotten reports of that. I'm not sure if Barry said that, but I know that we've had reports of that before. So some people say they've seen Sasquatch on UFOs. He didn't actually say it. I think that he talked to someone who said they had seen, or maybe it was during one of his regressions, because he's a hypnotherapist. And I think in one of his regressions that was one of the scenarios that somebody had recalled.
Yeah. Thank God. Sorry. I've heard encounters of that. I don't know. I don't put a whole lot of stock in that myself. Just because of historical wise, can't say that it ain't true. I'll never say it's not true. It's just not something I'm 100% convinced on yet. But it's definitely in that possibility realm. Definitely. Um, but no, I mean, that's you doing that remote view on that really helped me out to decide a lot of different things. And even though I didn't want to do that investigation last night by myself, I needed to get down there to get a baseline feeling of the area. And that was my whole purpose. Now, I didn't spend but a couple hours down there, and that was enough time for me to go, exit stage left. It was time. But I did get my baseline reading of the energy of that area. And that coexists a lot with what your research was. Then you were talking about the Civil War. There was a lot of Civil War battles that were fought there in that area. And so there's that area is steeped in death. A lot of it. But a lot of what I got last night was something old, something ancient, something evil. That was a lot what I got last night.
Yeah, so, just be careful out there.
Yeah, your remote view was pretty spot on. Was really pretty spot on, and I appreciate that because that gave me an idea what I'm looking at. So, I mean, I was a skeptic. Most of my knowledge when it comes to remote viewing was military related, which I knew you said you was that's how you was trained. Mm-hmm. I've never personally have ever experienced something like that. So I was always on the edge, like, this is definitely a possibility. So I was like, whenever you gave me that remote view, I was like, dude, she's on it. She is on it. This stuff has got a lot of truth to it. So, I mean, you got a new believer. You got a new believer.
Well, good. So, I'm not even trying to prove this to anybody. It's like my favorite hobby. Okay. I've been trained to do it. And so I love getting targets. Okay. I love a good challenge. It's not even a challenge to me. I just throw me some numbers when I can teach some people, like I just gave you a quick little overview of like how to assign me some coordinates. And you did a good job of it because I got some really good data out of that.
I was really impressed with your data. If you guys have missed the data that we're talking about, it's on her show. I was on her show. Was it last Saturday or Saturday before?
It was a week ago from last night. A week from yesterday.
Yeah. So
on the hunt. Yeah, you can find it on my channel, on my playlist. Go to the remote viewing. No, not remote viewing. It was on the hunt, I think, because it was on a Saturday night.
Yeah, on the hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it was cool, but I mean, it was real helpful. So I was like, man, this is something I've got to take more interest in, especially doing this type of stuff, because this is going to help me on some other future stuff. Like me and DA's getting ready to go to Moon Valley. Moon Valley was known for the Dallas County cannibals. There's been a lot of cryptid activity up there as well, but we're trying to see if maybe the Dallas County cannibal was tied to probably the Big W. Maybe the Big W took a hold of this family to cause them to do what they do. Not saying it is, but this is what sparked our interest to kind of look into there. But there's also a lot of cryptid activity in that area as well. A lot of it. So, Jessica, once again, it's always a pleasure having you on here. It's a joy. I love being on your show. I love having you on mine. I don't want to keep you too late because you've been busy and we're hitting that 2-hour mark now. At the end of every Sunday show, I've got a poem that I've written that I like to read, and it's the closing for my Sunday. So before I read that, I want to all my new subscribers out there, thank you so much. You guys are awesome. Ray, the Big W is, I'm only going to say this one time. I don't like saying the names a whole lot. That's why I use like the big SW and the big W. It's a Wendigo. And it's, so when you hear me say that, that's what I mean, is that right there. So that's what the big W is. But to all my new subscribers, thank you so much. You guys are awesome. I have some of the greatest subscribers in the world. Jessica, man, you hit over 11,000 now. You're skyrocketing up this thing, dude. It's awesome. I'm so happy for you. I mean, let's continue growing all these channels in here. I mean, I support a lot of people in here. I don't have a big ego that I cannot support somebody else or promote somebody else if I like what they do. That's why I promote the people I promote on my show. You know, we all learn. We all have different ways of looking at things. We have different aspects of it, and this is how we learn what we do. So it's truly a pleasure and an honor having you on here. And I want to I knew you was busy, so thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy day to come on here. Hey, Odin. With that being said, this is the closing poem that I wrote. There comes a time when a warrior falls. They leave this realm and will be missed by all. Raise a glass and keep them in your heart. They have kept this realm safe and performed their part. Look to your veterans, your active duty, your EMTs, and the blue line. What they do or have done was walk that fine line. When the demon comes calling on your soul, they will be there to save us all. Hold them in your prayers, for they are deserving. They all have served or are serving. Everybody, thank you so much for coming in tonight. I know we didn't hit everything up. That's fine. That's just how it goes. I'll probably start posting my notes on my Patreon if that's something everybody wants. Remember to keep safe out there. This is a hell of a time that we're going through. Let's learn about this amazing stuff we have out there. And as always, peace, love, and blessings to you all. You got anything you want to add?
No, thanks for having me tonight. This has been a good time. It's been fun. Y'all stay safe out there.
Heck yeah. Stay frosty.
Stay frosty.